Hello, Virgo. The phone is going to ring, not eventually, not someday in the vague, open-ended, hope-adjacent way that things that have not yet been decided tend to arrive. In the specific, imminent, the energy is already in motion, and the motion has a destination quality of something that has been set in course and that is now covering the remaining distance between where it started and where it is going to land. And when it rings, the voice on the other end of it is going to say something that is going to require your full, present, unmanaged attention. Because what is being communicated is not an update or a check-in or the ordinary quality of someone reaching out to maintain connection. It is an ask, a specific, direct, I have something I need to say, and I need to say it to you. Directly ask for a meeting, for a conversation in person, for the specific face to face, nothing being managed at a distance quality of two people in the same room with something real between them. And underneath the ask for the meeting, in the words that are going to come with it, there is the fuller thing. The thing about making it work, the thing about wanting to figure out whatever needs to be figured out in order for what is between you to arrive at the specific form of permanence that the word marriage points toward. I want to be clear about something before we go anywhere else. This reading is carrying the word marriage. I want to give that word its full weight rather than circling around it with softer language. This person is thinking about a future with you in the permanent sense. The call that is coming is an expression of that thinking arriving at the point where it requires your actual response rather than simply continuing to circulate in their own interior. They have arrived at a conclusion that requires your presence to become anything other than a conclusion they are sitting with alone. Let me walk you through what the cards confirmed about the timing, the quality, and the specific nature of what is approaching. Let me describe what I felt the moment this energy opened, because the impressions were immediate and layered, and each layer carries something specific that matters for the full picture. I felt urgency, not the frantic, destabilized quality of urgency that belongs to a crisis. The specific, purposeful, directed quality of urgency that belongs to someone who has arrived at a conclusion and who is now in the specific position of needing to close the distance between the conclusion and the person the conclusion is about. The urgency of someone who has finally, after whatever period of processing and deliberating and arriving, decided that the only remaining step is the direct one. I also felt something underneath the urgency that I want to name carefully because I think it is the most important of all the impressions. I felt love, not as a general warmth or as a pleasant feeling about someone, as the specific, fully formed, has been present for a significant period, is now requiring expression version of genuine love for a specific person, the kind that has its own weight and its own insistence, the kind that does not wait indefinitely for perfect conditions before it becomes necessary to say. The first card in this reading arrived in the position representing the emotional state this person is currently in, what they are carrying as they prepare to make this call, and I want to describe it carefully because the quality of what they are bringing matters enormously. This card shows a figure surrounded by the fullness of genuine emotional abundance, cups arranged in the specific quality of someone who has more than enough feeling and who is in the quiet, settled experience of being completely full of something genuine. This is not the anxious, desperate, please say yes quality of someone reaching out from a place of lack. This is the specific, abundant, I know what I have and I know what I want quality of someone who is approaching from completeness rather than from need. What I am reading in this card about the emotional state they are bringing is something I want to name specifically. They are not reaching out because they are lonely or because circumstances have made other options less available or because they have arrived at you by a process of elimination. They are reaching out because they have been carrying a genuine, full, specific love for you, and because carrying it without expressing it has become no longer compatible with being who they actually are. The call is not an act of desperation, it is an act of abundance, an overflow, the specific, generous quality of someone who has enough to offer and who has decided to offer it. I also want to speak to what this card tells me about the permanence question, the marriage dimension of what is approaching. The fullness depicted in this card is not the exciting fullness of something new. It is the settled fullness of something that has been present long enough to develop the specific rooted quality of something that has proven itself through time. What they feel about you is not new. It has simply finally reached the point where it is requiring the expression that its magnitude calls for. I want to speak to something about the specific quality of someone who approaches a conversation about marriage from a position of emotional fullness rather than emotional need, because I think understanding the difference changes how you receive what is coming. Someone approaching this conversation from need tends to make the conversation about what they lack, about what you represent as the solution to something they are experiencing as missing. Someone approaching from fullness, from the specific settled quality of someone who has more than enough of their own interior resources and who has chosen you in addition to that abundance, rather than instead of managing without it, brings something structurally different to the conversation. They are offering rather than asking for something. The distinction is felt in the quality of the conversation, in the specific texture of how being wanted by someone in abundance rather than being needed by someone in scarcity feels. What is coming has that quality. Abundance, genuine, settled, not contingent on your response, abundance that is simply choosing to extend itself in your direction. The second card arrived in the position representing the timing of the call, and I want to describe this card carefully because the timing question is specifically what the title of this reading is naming, and it deserves the most honest answer I can provide. This card shows the wheel at a specific point in its turning, the ascending energy in the ascendant position, the specific quality of something that has moved through its previous phases and that is now arriving at the point in its arc where the next significant event becomes available. The wheel does not operate on the timing of human preference. It turns according to its own structure, and the specific position of the wheel's energy in this reading is telling me something I want to name carefully. The call is in the near window, not a distant, eventual, someday soon window. The specific, close, the energy is already positioned quality of something that is approaching the point in its arc where expression becomes the natural next movement of what has been building. The wheel's position, the energy of something ascending, rather than still in the process of approaching its ascent, suggests days rather than weeks. The quality of the energy I am reading does not have the feeling of something that is still gathering momentum. It has the feeling of something that has its momentum and is now in the specific final approach to the moment of landing. I want to be honest about timing readings. because I think you deserve honesty rather than false precision. The exact hour is not available to me in the cards. What is available is the quality of the proximity. And the quality of the proximity here is genuinely close. The wheel has turned to the specific point where the call is not a future event but an imminent one. Does this feel like it is landing on something real, Virgo? The sense of something that has been building between you and a specific person approaching its specific, decisive, real life expression? Let me know in the comments. The third card arrived in the position representing what specifically is going to be said when the call comes, the actual content of the conversation that is approaching. And this is the card I want to give the most attention to because the content is the heart of what this reading is about. This card shows the figure of the great announcement, the angel with the trumpet, the imagery of something crossing from the interior into the shared world with an irreversible quality, with the specific force of something that, once said, becomes part of the permanent record of what has been expressed between two people. This is the card of genuine declaration of the real thing, the actual feeling, the true intention, arriving in its fullest form in the space between two people. What I am reading in this card about what is going to be said is something I want to name directly and without softening. They are going to tell you that they want to make it work. In those words, or in words that carry the same weight and the same direction, they are going to tell you that whatever the obstacles or the distance or the complications have been, they have reached the conclusion that what is between you is worth doing whatever is required to bring it to its full expression. And the full expression they are pointing toward is the permanent one, the one that has the specific shape of a life built together rather than a dynamic navigated alongside each other. I also want to speak to the irreversible quality of this card in the context of what is going to be said. The declaration that is coming is not being made with the protection of ambiguity. The person making it has arrived at the point where they are willing to be fully, specifically, permanently on the record about what they want. That willingness, the willingness to be unambiguous about something this significant, is itself a form of the commitment they are declaring. The saying of it is already the doing of it in the most important sense. Inhale with me, Virgo, because the fourth card carries what I think you most need to receive about your own position in this moment. This card shows a figure in the quiet, self-possessed quality of someone who has arrived at a genuine and complete interior peace. Not the peace of someone who has given up or withdrawn, but the specific, still quality of someone who is in the fullness of their own knowing and their own readiness, who has done the interior work that is required before a significant moment, and who is now simply present with the readiness rather than either rushing toward what is coming or retreating from it. What I am sensing in this card about where you are is something I want to name with care. You are ready for this. Not in the sense of having been waiting or of having been prepared for exactly this conversation at exactly this time. In the deeper sense of having been through the entirety of your own life and your own experience and your own growth, developed into the specific person who has the capacity to receive what is coming and to respond to it from a place of genuine, grounded, fully present knowing, rather than from a place of being caught off guard or unprepared for the magnitude of it. The question that is going to be asked of you is not a small one. The response that it requires is not a simple one. And the card is confirming that you are the specific person who has what the question requires. Not because you have been rehearsing an answer, but because who you are genuinely and completely is the right quality of person to be receiving something this significant. I want to address something specific about the marriage dimension of this reading because I think it deserves honest, direct engagement rather than being treated as the exciting headline of a reading that is primarily about something else. The word marriage carries weight, the weight of permanence, of the specific, deliberate, publicly acknowledged decision to build a life with a particular person in the most formal and intentional way available. The person who is going to call you is using this word or thinking in terms that this word most accurately describes because what they want with you is specifically not provisional, is specifically not let us see how this goes, is specifically the full permanent I have thought about this and this is what I want version of what they feel. I want to say something about what it means to have someone arrive at this conclusion about you because I think it deserves to be received with its full significance rather than being diminished by the specific Virgo tendency to assess rather than receive. This person has considered their life, has considered who they are and what they want, and what the future they actually want looks like when they are being fully honest with themselves. And in that honest consideration, you have emerged not as one option among several, but as the person they want that future to be built with. The specific, particular, irreplaceable fact of you has become so present in their picture of what their life is supposed to look like that the picture without you has become genuinely difficult to want. That is what the call is carrying. Receive it as such. The fifth card arrived in the position of what happens after the call, what the meeting and the conversation and the whatever comes next of this particular moment is opening into in the actual daily living texture of the future you are approaching. And I want to describe it with the full warmth and the full specificity it deserves. This card shows a scene of genuine, established, fully inhabited partnership in the specific quality of two people who are not at the beginning of something or in the middle of something uncertain, but who are in the warmth and the ease and the specific uncomplicated goodness of something that is simply genuinely deeply working. The quality of being at home with someone in the fullest sense of that word, of having found the specific person whose presence in your ordinary daily life makes the ordinary daily life feel like the right life. What I am sensing in this card about what the call is opening into is something I want to say simply and without elaboration. Genuine partnership, the kind that has daily texture and ordinary moments, and the specific quality of two people who have chosen each other in the full, conscious, permanent sense, and who are now simply in the experience of living that choice out day by day, not the dramatic peak experience version of being with someone, the quieter, more enduring, considerably more satisfying version. I also want to speak to the warmth in this card because it is specific rather than general. The warmth in the imagery of two people in genuine partnership is not the warmth of something new and exciting. It is the warmth of something trusted, of someone you know in the specific, you have actually seen who I am way of someone who has been in the real presence of your actual self and who has chosen that self rather than a more curated version of it. The warmth of being known and being chosen simultaneously, that is what is on the other side of this call. I want to name something about what it means to have this specific card appear in this specific position, because I think it carries something important about the quality of what is being built rather than simply the existence of it. The partnership depicted in this card has the quality of something easy in the specific, hard-won sense of ease that is only available after two people have been honest with each other about who they actually are and have found that honesty welcome rather than threatening. The ease is not the ease of things being uncomplicated. It is the ease of two people who have been through the complicated stages and who have arrived in the settled, genuinely comfortable quality of what exists when the complicated stages have been navigated with honesty and care. What the call is opening toward is not the easy beginning of something. It is the beginning of the path that leads to that specific, earned, genuinely warm ease, which is worth considerably more than any beginning. Before I close, I want to say something about what you should carry into the call when it comes, because I think you deserve something practical alongside everything else this reading has offered. You do not need to have the answer before the call. You do not need to have processed the full magnitude of what is being offered before you respond. The only thing the moment requires is your genuine, present, fully inhabiting self. The person who is calling is going to say something that has been built over time. Your response can also be built over time. The conversation is a beginning, not a conclusion. What it asks of you is presence and honesty, not a complete and perfectly articulated response to something you are receiving for the first time in real time. Be there, actually there, with the full quality of your attention and your genuine engagement and the specific, warm, completely you quality that is the specific thing this person is reaching toward. The call is coming. The ring is already metaphorically present in the energy of what is approaching. What it is asking is simple, even if it is large. It is asking whether you want this too. I want to add one final thing. However you feel about the specific answer to that question in this moment, whatever the complexity or the uncertainty or the genuine knowing that exists in you about what you want, the fact that someone is about to ask you this question with this quality of genuine, settled, not provisional intention is itself something you deserve to receive as a complete and significant thing. You are the person someone has decided they want to build their whole life with. That decision was made through the direct experience of who you actually are. It is the most accurate possible reflection of your actual value available from another human being. Receive it clearly, whatever your response to it turns out to be. If this reading has landed somewhere that feels specific and real and close rather than distant and theoretical, please share it with a Virgo who is on the edge of their own version of this moment and who needs to hear that what is approaching is genuine and is asking for their genuine presence in return. And leave a comment. I want to hear what this reading landed on for you and whether the person who is about to call has a face and a name that you know clearly. I read every single comment and I hold what is shared in this space with genuine care long after this video ends. Until next time, Virgo. The phone is going to ring. The timing is close. The voice on the other end is going to say the real thing. The question underneath it is simple. Do you want this too? Only you know the answer. But I trust that when the moment arrives, you are going to be fully there to give it.